Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about today's video. Okay, let me tell you a story. This story is about me sitting at home one evening after work like an idiot thinking, I feel like building tonight. What do I want to build? And then in a stroke of madness, I realized exactly what I want to build. And that is what this video is going to be, is actually part one of two parts of building this home. The reason being that this was an extremely long build, and I'll explain a bit more about why that is in just a minute. So this house actually is based off of the house from one of my absolute favorite Netflix series ever. And it's called Haunting of Hill House, which is actually, it was based off of a 1959, I think, novel by a woman named Shirley Jackson. And she's from Vermont, and it was based, the story, locally in Vermont. And it was about this haunted house, if you didn't get that from the title of the show already. And so the Netflix series, it came out pretty recently, like I want to say a few months ago, sometime around September, October-ish, if I'm remembering correctly, in 2018. It's 2019 now, oh my gosh. And it was so cool. Now, obviously, if you read the novel, it's very different from the Netflix show. They took a lot of liberties with it, as they usually do with TV shows. I know they never make things totally accurate to the stories that they are based off of. But I absolutely loved it, and it was it's just such an engaging show. And this is coming from someone, mind you guys, that can't deal with horror or scary shows, scary films, jump scares, anything like that. I can't do it. But there was something about this show that was so engaging plot-wise that I couldn't stop. Like, it didn't rely necessarily just on the horror of it. It was really very plot driven as a whole story, and that's why I kind of was so sucked into it, because the show makes you feel really attached to the characters and you want to know what's going on. It's very much kind of a mystery as well as a horror. It's like, what's happening to this family? Why is this house haunted? It's just it's so good. So I decided I wanted to build the house based off of the one in Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. And so here's the deal, guys. And this is part of why this took me so long to build, so that I'm splitting it into an exterior and an interior portion of two videos. And it's basically because the exterior of the house is a real location. I believe it's called Bisham Manor. And it's a real place. You can have your wedding there if you want. I mean, tempting, I know, right? I'm gonna be like, yeah, I want to get my wedding done at this place based off of a horror Netflix show. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if I did that. It's probably crazy expensive, though. The property itself is gorgeous. You can look it up online. Bisham is Bisham Manor, and it is beautiful. And it was the perfect setting to use for the Netflix show. It's just this old, like, very, very beautiful Victorian, covered in like vines and lots of plants. There's lots of, it just has the feeling of the kind of place that you'd look at it and go, oh yeah, that is absolutely 100% haunted. And so it's absolutely gorgeous. But here's the thing, this is a TV show, so they used the exterior as, for like outdoor shots, but that they didn't use the interior. It wasn't shot inside of this property. They built a set for that. And I mean, they do that for tons of shows. They don't usually use the interior of the same place that they have the exterior shots. They build a set somewhere, who the heck knows where, in Hollywood or something. So that's where this became an interesting challenge for me, is because I really wanted the exterior to be the house you see in the show. I wanted, that's the Hill House that really gives you the spooky factor. You see, like, in the fog and in the darkness, this creepy old kind of dying house. And that is what I wanted to build. But here's the thing. I needed to make this house reflect the fact, like, that the interior is still from the show. And obviously the shape of the exterior of their house doesn't necessarily reflect what the set they used looks anything like. Like, they just built the set, and the inside definitely does not actually match the outside. So it was definitely, you know, suspension of disbelief, which I really don't have a problem with personally. Like, it didn't even occur to me till later on that, like, yeah, no duh, the exterior and the interior don't look the same. So that in itself became quite a challenge, but it was a challenge I was willing to take up because I am crazy like that and was like, I really want to build this house. I'm willing to figure out how I'm going to make the interior at least somewhat resemble the set that they used in the show. And so that's actually what you'll see in part 2, which I'll put up 1 week from now. So this is going up on a Monday, and it'll go up next Monday, which is just the interior, which is me being, you know, out there trying to figure out how, at least obviously there was no way to get the full set exact to what they used in the TV show just because of the constraints I had with the shape of the exterior of the house. I really focused a lot more on making the exterior as close as possible to the exterior that they actually filmed. And then the interior I took a lot of liberties with, but in a way that I felt still made it feel true to the show and true to what you see. And in places where it couldn't be completely true, I tried to kind of play homage to the spaces in the house that, you know, you see in the show but aren't really there in this build because it just was physically impossible to do. But it was so much fun and I really loved it. And even building the exterior was definitely a fun challenge. I was trying to look up online reference photos of the property itself, and, you know, thankfully it is a wedding venue, so they do have quite a few pictures of it, but not from all angles. And, you know, even some of the angles you do have, the images are kind of semi blocked by trees, which became an interesting task. So I had to take some artistic liberties here and there, but I did try to make it as close as I felt I possibly could. And I do, you know, really enjoy the challenge of it all. And it was a lot of fun. I ended up actually was on voice chat with a friend of mine while I was working on this. And we both absolutely love Hill House. So I was like, do you know what I'm doing right now? And she was like, oh my gosh, why are you doing this to yourself? And I was like, I don't know. It's a good question. Why am I doing this to myself? Oh, but it was so much fun. And like, honestly, if there's like a TV show that you really love that has a really iconic house in it, I do highly recommend doing this sort of quote unquote challenge to create the exterior of the house and try to make the interior of the house fit as close as possible to the set that the show or movie uses, because that really, I feel like, pushes your creativity and makes you have to really think outside the box with what you're doing, since, you know, you do have to kind of make it up in places and you don't obviously have a full image layout of what the set looks like. You really have to rely on the TV show. So when I was working on the interior of this house, I was literally watching an episode of Haunting of Hill House to try and figure out what it looked like on the inside, which was quite the experience. But like I said, it was a lot of fun and I do actually really recommend it. I was surprised at how much fun I had with this. I had to take breaks because, like I said, when I started working on this, it was a work night. So like I had to go to work and like sit. I have a full-time job. So I'm like sitting there at my full-time 9-to-5 job. Like all I want to do is go home and work on the interior of this house. Like, how am I going to do it? What am I going to put in there? Like just planning it all out and thinking about it was so much fun. And I was so obsessed. So like this was kind of a week-long process for me just because of all the planning that I was doing like in my head, trying to figure out where things would go, how I wanted things to look. I don't know. It was just, it was a lot of fun. Highly recommend. And I also highly recommend the show. I've been babbling about this house for so long. Maybe I should actually talk about the show itself. If you haven't seen it, like I said, it's called Haunting of Hill House. And the whole story, shockingly enough, revolves around Hill House, which I believe is set somewhere in New England. I don't remember where. Sorry, bad memory. But anyways, it's actually really cool the way that they do the show because it takes place both in the past and the present. So it follows the Crane family. So Hugh and Olivia, who are the parents in this family, they're house flippers. And so they go, you know, from place to place. They buy a house, they live in it while they restore it, then they sell it. and move on to the next place. And that's how they make their money. So they purchased Hill House. So Hugh and Olivia, they move into Hill House with their 4 kids, Stephen, Shirley, Theo, Luke, and Nell. And they're all kids. I think they're all 12 and under. Luke and Nell are the youngest, and they're actually twins. They're super cute. And so they move in, and they're going to live there, and everything's going to be fine. This is going to be like their big last flip. Olivia's got plans for like their perfect permanent home. Everything's happy, yay. And then ghosts happen. It's a bit more in-depth than that. It's just my description is super lame. And like I said, it also takes place in the present time. So this is when all the kids are grown up. And there's still some things going on. Hill House, they may have left Hill House, but you know, Hill House haven't left them. So it's really, really good. And like I mentioned earlier, I am super not a fan of horror films. The Ring scarred me as a kid. I am still not emotionally over it, and I'm 25 years old now. So I am the first to admit you cannot pay me to watch horror films or most horror related TV shows, but my coworkers were super into the show, and I was like, it's like, the problem is that like it sounds really interesting and I kind of want to give it a try. So I did, and guys, I'm obsessed. I love it. Like, sure, I was spooked to all heck, and yeah, there were some nights that I was like looking around in dark corners when I was about to go to bed, like, I don't know about this, but like, so worth it. It just, the plot of the show was so good. And now like I really want to read the book, and I'm aware that the book is very, very different from the Netflix show, but I still really want to like experience it. I still want to experience this world of Hill House and what's going on here. And it's just the whole concept behind what the show is about is so cool, and I just highly recommend it. It's really fun. Is that weird to say about a horror show? Is that it's really fun? I think the right way to describe what I'm trying to say is that it's really fun to speculate and to go through the show. There's only like 10 episodes. So it goes, you know, you can binge it if you're real committed. And it's just fun after every episode to just like sit there and speculate, like, wait, what's happening? Like, I need to think about, I don't understand. Like, it's so fun, guys. Highly recommend. It's a really great way to spend like an entire weekend. I don't know, like, not saying I binge all weekend, but I do. So it's a really fun show. And obviously it hasn't left me at all, because the other day I was like, I've got it. The best idea is to literally just recreate the whole thing in The Sims. It was the obvious decision here, guys. So yeah, as you can see here, I am making quite a bit of progress on the house. I really focused a lot on that front that you see here, as well as the back. Like I said, I couldn't get a lot of full like 360 shots of the property, the manor itself. So I kind of had to take some liberties with the two sides of the building, but I did get some really good shots of the back here as well as the front. So I tried to be as accurate as I could given the limitations of the Sims build system, because there's just some things you can't do, which is totally fine. I get it. I don't expect the game to follow my every whim, all of my weird like TV based build whims, but I was able to get pretty close at the end, and I'm pretty happy with how it all came out. It's, you know, a lot of fun as a property. I really like how it came out. I definitely want to play in this house. And so like my question then becomes, do I want to recreate the Crane family and play in this house using that family? Is that super weird? I don't know. Let me guys know what you think. Do you ever like create families and homes from like shows or movies or video games or anything and play with them in The Sims? Because I'm really kind of tempted. I feel like I'd have to use a lot of custom content in order to get the characters looking as accurate as possible. Not that that's actually a problem, because I'm physically addicted to custom content. It just means I have to go digging for specifically what I'd have in mind for the characters. So that might be a thing potentially that I do in the future, because I don't want to have spent all this time building this house and not actually use it. Like, how tragic would that be? I literally spent so many hours on this place. And I want to give it some love because I'm obsessed with it. And I want to point out now something that I didn't realize till well afterwards. And, you know, I would do this. You'll laugh when you hear this. So you'll notice that I put this house on a foundation, which I do with almost all of the builds that I make in The Sims. But here's the thing with this one, guys, is you'll notice that in the back there, I did put a staircase because there is a staircase in the back of the IRL property. But because real people aren't held to the rules that Sims live by, there aren't stairs in the front. Now, what exactly do you think the problem is with me putting a foundation on this house and not putting stairs? If you have guessed that it's my Sims can't get in the house, you'd be right. When I went in to take screenshots of the interior of the house after I finished, my Sim was like, I can't go anywhere. And I was like, what do you mean you can't go anywhere? Yeah, okay, it turns out that I didn't put any stairs in the front of the house. So post this entire build, I just took the foundation away because I couldn't even. I was so emotionally drained at that point, and I was like, no. Oh, so bad. Has anybody out there done that before? Because it never occurred to me because I always put stairs in my builds. And so it just absolutely never dawned on me that I didn't put stairs at the front of this build. And so obviously my Sim wasn't going to go inside. She just like stood there and was like, I don't know. And then like the welcome committee showed up and I was like, no, go away. I just want to take screenshots, guys. It was quite a special experience for me. Went through quite the journey. Like, it took me far too long, like longer than I will admit, to figure out that the issue was that I had a foundation and no stairs. It was so bad. And like, I don't know why she didn't go to the back of the house because I do have stairs there, but whatever. I won't judge my Sim. I made her, so really you should just judge me. It was so bad. It was so embarrassing. I was like, no. So in the final product that I will put up on the gallery, the final version of this home does not have a foundation. So just picture everything that's happening here without a foundation, because I couldn't be fussed to put in stairs in the front because there aren't any in the real thing. And I tried so hard to make this look like the real Hill House. Say real Hill House. Hill House isn't real. It's the Bisham Manor. I tried to make it look like Bisham Manor that they used as Hill House. And I was just, at that point, I just couldn't. It would break my heart to put stairs in over there. So I didn't. And I just took away the foundation. It was the logical next step. I hear jingling going on in the background. You guys probably can't hear that, but I think my cat is lurking around somewhere. It's kind of funny. It's also very distracting. Anyways, yeah, I don't remember why I was putting those weird, like, what are those called? Oh my gosh, guys, I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're windows now. Whatever those things I was putting in before the windows, and I'll remember as soon as I hit stop recording, and you guys will be like, wow, yeah, you're so not smart there, buddy. And I'll be like, I mean, no big deal. I don't know what I was doing there, but now I'm working on all of the windows because this is a massive property. You can see the interior there is totally blank because initially I was like, I am just going to focus on the exterior of the build in one sitting, and then I'll come back after having slept and recharged and gone to work and sat at my office all day thinking of nothing but the interior to come back and tackle it. And it was a lot of fun doing it kind of in two separate steps because it meant that I really took the pressure off of building the whole thing in one go, because normally if I'm building something, I really want to do the whole thing. And so going into this, mentally telling myself, like, you know, I think I want to do the exterior because I know exactly what I want it to look like, and I'm going to hold off on the interior because I don't quite yet know what I want it to look like, and I'm going to sleep on it and I'm going to think about it and come back and do that later. And that was really nice. It was a different way to do a build for me. I never have really done that before, and so it was kind of fun to return to the build after like 24 hours and giving the interior shot It also let me kind of step away from the exterior, remove myself emotionally from all of the hours I put into the exterior, only to semi-destroy it by doing the interior. There were some things I did have to change about the exterior of the house when I was tackling the interior, but I did expect that because, you know, there were some things size-wise that I just needed to fix. They weren't like huge things, so you'll see in part 2 that there were a few touches here and there that I needed to change about the exterior, and really the only difference is where I needed to expand some walls to make room for all of the things I was doing on the interior. So I didn't do anything dramatic. So anywhere that like I would have needed to do something absolutely insane to the exterior to get it to look how I wanted in the interior, I just didn't do, and kind of tried to do a more subtle nod to what that space would have been from the TV show, instead of completely ruining the exterior, because I did put so much time into it that I wanted to at least respect the majority of what I made the exterior look like initially. And yeah, so here you can see I'm getting kind of closer to the end of this build. I really, at this point, I had essentially knocked out the majority of how it looked, and now I'm kind of doing more superficial things, like, for example, all of the windows I'm putting in. Now, I will say here, spoiler alert, I do take out most of the windows in this. Oh gosh, guys, I should not record late at night because I cannot think of the word right now. Tower, that's it. Ooh, I deserve an award for thinking of that word. That's really sad. I do take away all of those windows from the tower later, and if you've seen the TV show, you might know why. Didn't think about that till later. Oopsies. But really, from this point on, a lot of what I'm doing is just kind of gardening design and stuff like that, just really playing around with the overgrown nature of the outside of the house in the show. They really lean pretty hard on the idea that this is an old broken down house, which would make sense why a pair of house flippers would be interested in it, because obviously it's not up on the market for a lot of money. It's falling down. No one's lived in it forever. So it's appealing to someone that wants to make a quick buck by flipping the property so that they and their family can then go move into their dream home, which I think is fabulous, until, you know, you find out that the whole place is haunted. But like, whatever. It's the risks we take, am I right? So it's a lot of just overgrown greenery essentially on the outside, which took quite a while. I think I bit off a bit more than I could chew. So I spent, like, it's all sped up now, but I spent a ridiculous amount of time just laying down all of this greenery to make it look like it was being kind of taken over by like moss, was really what I was going for. And I just used all of this green leaf piley stuff to make it look that way. But like what I was going for, I was just like, all right, I just need 3,000 of these. Sometimes I kind of wish that they populated the way, you know, if you're like putting out cabinets and things like that, they just automatically populate the next one after you've put down the first one. But they don't do that with plants. And for this build, I was really feeling it near the end, like going back and back and back to grab another one. I was like, please, can you just assume that I want more of these and put them in my hand right now, because I'm just going to keep clicking. So I did kind of feel that after a while, as you can probably guess by the amount of stuff I am just covering this house in. But that's not to say it wasn't fun. I did really enjoy like picking and choosing where I wanted all of the leaves crawling up the building to go to really like overtake the property. And I really like the stone with leaves, like mossy stuff looking vibe. Like I am so into that. Also, question for past Sophia, what was I doing with that roof? I don't know if you can see that. I think I pull the roof back to the normal space later on in this video, even though there's only a few minutes left, and I'm starting to worry for what I was doing. Like sometimes I watch these back and I'm like, what was I doing? Because I don't, like, see here, what was I doing there? I don't even know. I was like playing around with the landscaping, and then I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. Sometimes you just don't feel it, you know? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And whatever I was doing with that dirt patch, like I wasn't feeling it. But I was definitely feeling the greenery and definitely feeling like I was going to put lots and lots of plants. What am I doing there? Shall we watch and find out? Was I like putting another, gosh, now I don't even remember. I'm like so fascinated. I'm like sitting here watching this with you guys and I'm like, what was I doing? Oh, right. Okay, there was another roof. See, like I mentioned earlier, there's like no clear images of the sides of this property. So I was like, oh, I don't know. And then like I Googled some more and I found something that showed this side roofing. And I was like, stop everything, guys. Have to fix this. Because, you know, why not suffer more with more roofs? So that's what I did. Okay, glad I remembered that because I was really sitting here starting to worry about myself. But yeah, so other than that, that's pretty much, other than a bit of shrubbery that I think is to come, that is the majority of the exterior of Hill House. And I'm really excited with how this came out. Like, I was super surprised with the outcome. I was surprised at myself because I'm not like the world's greatest builder. Like, I love building, but I'd never tried to build something from like the real world before. Like, I normally just make it up as I go and go like higgledy-piggledy with whatever I want. So this was quite the challenge to get myself out of the box, which is kind of weird considering my getting out of the box was putting myself in a box, I guess, a visual box. But for me, it was something very different because I had to push myself to rely on what I was seeing in the image instead of being like, oh, well, I don't really get it, but that's fine. I'll just do whatever I want. I was really pushing myself to stay as accurate as possible to what I was seeing in my Google Images search for Bisham Manor, which was a lot of fun. And I would definitely recommend, like, if, you know, you're at a loss for what to build one day in The Sims, it's kind of fun to look up something to build. It really, in a way, it kind of pushes yourself, especially if you don't have like a 360 view, but you have the majority, so you get the idea. So you really have to figure out how to make it look as accurate as possible, and keep it, you know, looking like the image. It was really fun. It was a weird kind of enjoyment. It was almost like relaxing to see what I was seeing on Google Images kind of come to life, literally in The Sims. And so that was a lot of fun. Do recommend if you're like me and you are obsessed with Netflix and suddenly have the urge to build in The Sims, you can combine those two hobbies. It's a beautiful thing. And then you can watch the show while you build it, which is even more beautiful. Essentially what I'm saying here is this was actually my excuse to rewatch Hill House. Whoops. But it is one of those shows that you can actually rewatch because there's so many things that you missed the first time around. And I love shows like that like after you see the ending, you're like, whoa, hold up, rewind, gotta go back to the beginning. Because you can watch Hill House several times and every time you catch something new. And there's actually a really cool like secret bit about The Haunting of Hill House that I don't really want to say anything about because like I don't want to do any spoilers, but there's this really funny kind of little thing that was not in any way necessary, but the filmmakers decided to sneak in there anyways, and I love it. I thought it was such a great idea. And again, makes the show worth rewatching because of, you know, you're keeping an eye out for these secret things that you're like, ooh, I'm going to catch it this time, and you never do. And the next time you're like, wait, I didn't see that one before. And you're like, how did this happen? So it's definitely a lot of fun. So highly recommend, even if you're not super crazy about spoopy shows or spoopy movies. Trust me, like I said, I'm not either. Still not emotionally over The Ring. Like, Samara still haunts my nightmares. Like, literally, that I was 13 when I saw The Ring, and for the entire next week, I was very convinced that she was going to come out of my TV and kill me. Like, it was a hard set fact in my mind that I was about to die because I watched that movie, which is so silly, but is also such a testament to the filmmakers that it scarred me that deeply. But it probably also didn't help that my friend's dad came up behind us on the couch and started screaming and threw his hand on my head halfway through the film. That's probably really what scarred me more than the film itself. So thanks, friend's dad. Really appreciate that. 25-year-old me is really appreciative of that. But yeah, so now you're kind of seeing the house come together at the end. I was toying around with the idea of adding in some more little fireplace stacks there, but then I took them away in the end, and I just stuck with the one that I built myself because I was like, not gonna mess with it. Didn't want to go super overboard because this house is kind of already extra. But I am so happy with how this came out, and I cannot wait for you guys to see the interior because I'm actually really proud of it. I like sent my friends Snapchats and I was like, look at this, look at this. I was just like, it's like a little kid when you come home from school with like a letter with like a paper and it has like an A on it. You're just like, Mom, look at what I did. And that was basically me with my friend being like, look at this, look what I did to Hill House, which is, you know, no big deal. Just really excited about the things I do in Sims 4 because, you know, adult life, whatever. So yeah, I am truly really proud of this, and I had so much fun with it, and I can't wait to show you guys the interior of it next week because I had even more fun with the interior than I did with the exterior because it required me to not only rewatch Hill House and try to figure out what the interior of the set looks like, but also push myself creatively in determining how to make it look as accurate as possible without, you know, being able to do everything in there. And that was a lot of fun. Whether I was successful or not, who really knows, but it was a lot of fun to do. And I think that's what matters when it comes to doing building in The Sims 4 is that you're having fun. And this build brought me so much joy. It was just an absolute pleasure to build this. It gave me so much more than just the in-game build time because I took it with me, you know, like I thought about it later on and I was like, ooh, how do I want to do this? What am I going to do? Like, I can't wait to get home and work on this. The joy that I got from doing this one build lasted so long, and that was just like a gift in itself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I know that's like really cheesy. Do you guys feel that way about any of your builds? I'd really love to hear about it in the comments below if you guys have ever had a build that like you were like so shook with that it just made you so happy and you had so much fun, because I know that this build really did that for me. Is it just brought me a lot of joy, and I don't think I'm going to be over it for a while. And I think I'm still seriously considering recreating the Crane family in The Sims so that I can play with them in this house, which, by the way, I do want to point out that I did put the house, like the lot properties, of course I made it haunted, so don't worry. It is a haunted lot. So in theory, when you're playing, ghosts should show up, and I just love that. I love that The Sims gives that as an option and that I could put it in Hill House so that I could literally make this a haunted house. Like, hello, yes, thank you, Sims. So anyways, this is gonna bring us to the end of this very long part 1 of Haunting of Hill House build. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today while I ramble for like 30 minutes about my obsession with a Netflix TV show, because that's my life. That's where I'm at in life. And here are some screenshots here at the end. I hope you enjoyed this video so much and that you have an amazing day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!